There were two people executed in the month of August. Johnny A. Johnson, 45 years old, 18 years on death row, executed on August 1st by the state of Missouri. In St. Louis County, Johnson was found guilty of murdering 6-year-old Cassandra Casey Williamson by beating her to death on July 26, 2002. When he killed Casey, Johnson was 24 years old. He had been invited to spend the night on the couch of Casey's father's residence on Benton Street in Valley Park. In an abandoned glass factory's maze of tunnels, disused ovens, and underground rooms, Johnson led Casey away from the house and down the street. He eventually confessed to killing Casey with bricks and a large rock after she rejected his attempts toward intimate relations, according to the authorities. He cleaned himself up in the Merrimack River before going back to the Benton Street residence to get a pack of cigarettes. On August 1st, just before the execution, he submitted a handwritten letter of apology for his horrible deed. God bless. Sorry to the people and family I hurt. The U.S. Supreme Court recently dismissed an appeal to stop Johnson's execution, despite the defense team's claims that Johnson's illness prevented him from being mentally competent to face the capital penalty. Although Johnson had significant issues, according to a former prosecutor from St. Louis who saw the execution, he knew exactly what he was doing. A number of Casey's relatives witnessed Johnson's execution. For his last meal, he had a burger, curly fries, and a strawberry milkshake. James Phillip Barnes, 61 years old, 16 years on death row, executed on August 3rd by the state of Florida. Barnes was born on March 7, 1962. He has a twin sister named Janice and is one of 5 children. He felt Maryland was his home, but it is uncertain where he was actually born. Patricia Patsy Miller, a 41-year-old nurse from Melbourne, Florida, was home on April 20, 1988, when Barnes broke in. He entered Miller's house through a bedroom window, held her at knife point, and then essayed her. She was lying face down on the bed when he assaulted her with a hammer and then chained her with his shoelaces. Barnes attempted to cover up the crime by setting her bed on fire. He then left the scene. Miller had been killed before the fire began, according to a medical examiner's later findings. This murder went unsolved for a long time, as there was nothing to link Miller and Barnes. At her West Melbourne house on December 11, 1997, Barnes strangled his estranged wife, Linda Barnes, age 44. Barnes was subject to a restraining order against Linda as of December 2nd, which forbade him from approaching her or visiting her house. He murdered his wife, put her body in a closet, and stayed in the house. He was detained at the residence on December 12 by sheriff's deputies, and he was accused of killing Linda. Barnes admitted to murdering his wife on January 9, 1998, and was given a life sentence without the possibility of parole. While fasting during Ramadan in 2005, Barnes, who had converted to Islam, admitted to the unsolved murder of Patsy Miller. He confessed to the crime in a letter to the assistant state's attorney. Barnes had been questioned in the case in 1997 when DNA evidence was acquired that matched him. He did not, however, want to cooperate with police at the time. Until a grand jury returned an indictment, no charges were brought. Barnes explained to the prosecution that he wrote the letter to atone for his sins. In that letter, Barnes claimed, "I murdered her so there would be no witnesses or complaint against me." Barnes waived his right to a jury at his murder trial and chose to represent himself. He entered a guilty plea to Miller's first-degree murder, burglary, 2 counts of sexual battery with a weapon, and arson in 2006. He was given the death penalty by Brevard County Circuit Judge Lisa Davidson on December 13, 2007. In 2010, Barnes confessed to the unsolved murders of Chester Wetmore and Brenda Fletcher. He said that he first encountered Wetmore in 1988, characterizing him as a fugitive who was dependent on crack and crystal meth. Wetmore had been living on the streets for a while and was an escort. His disappearance had been reported on May 27, 1986. Wetmore allegedly broke into Barnes' car and took his possessions. In 1988, Barnes assassinated him by pursuing him and shooting him with a shotgun. Then he and 2 companions buried the corpse. Fletcher, according to Barnes, was a crack addict and a prostitute without a family. He demanded his driver's license back and accused her of stealing his wallet. In 1991, Barnes assassinated Fletcher after she refuted the accusations. On April 2, 1991, Fletcher's body was found in a drainage ditch in Brevard County that was flooded. The last time Fletcher had communication with a family member was on October 22, 1990, and she had been registered as missing at the time of her murder. On June 22, 2023, Governor Ron DeSantis signed Barnes' death warrant. At a hearing on June 27, 2023, Barnes adamantly stated that he did not want to put an end to his impending execution and that he wanted to take responsibility for his deeds and carry out his execution right away. At 61 years old, Barnes was pronounced dead at 6:13 p.m. on August 3rd, following a lethal injection at the Florida State Prison in Stark. When the curtain was lifted for the witnesses, Barnes was lying on a gurney with his eyes closed. When prison staff asked him if he had any final remarks, he remained silent for almost 10 minutes until his breathing ceased. He also refused his final meal.
There are other, there are other crimes out there that I've committed that I've never been held accountable for. There is no proper way to come forward and say how sorry one is or show remorse. They say I'm remorseless. I'm not. I have cried so many nights, so many days. I've spent so much time trying to figure out how to balance the scale. I just didn't see. I just didn't really understand the gravity of what this state would do to me, for coming forward and saying I'm sorry,
right, yeah.
and not offering anything other than, I'm responsible. This is what I've done. This is exactly how it happened. There is no more questions in this case. And now I'm going to be executed.
There is only one person scheduled for execution in September, and that is Anthony Sanchez. Please hit that subscribe button if you like my channel. See you next time. Bye bye.